You think you're in control, but the truth is, a far darker impulse has been pulling your strings from the very start. Every man has a hidden secret he can't admit. It's not weakness, it's the unseen gravitational pull shaping his choices, his pride, even his love. Think about it. You chase success, you build a life, you crave connection. Yet, beneath the surface of every ambition, every calculated move, there's a quiet, almost imperceptible hum. It's the whisper of something you instinctively understand, yet consciously deny. It's the unacknowledged hunger that drives you, the one that makes you reach for more, even when more doesn't quite fill the void. This isn't about grand conspiracies or shadowy figures pulling levers from afar, no. This is about the subtle, internal forces that dictate your reactions, your attractions, your very sense of self. It's the silent contract you sign, unknowingly, with your own primal nature. Consider a man like Arthur. For years, he built his empire with meticulous precision, every decision seemingly rational, every move calculated for maximum gain. He prided himself on his logic, his unwavering focus. But then, late at night, in the quiet of his opulent study, a different truth would emerge. He'd find himself staring at a framed photograph of his estranged father, a man he outwardly despised for his perceived weaknesses. And in those moments, a cold, undeniable realization would creep in. Every empire-building decision, every ruthless negotiation, wasn't just about profit or power, it was about proving something. It was about a deep, burning need to overshadow the shadow of his father, to validate a self he felt was constantly being judged. Even in absence, Arthur thought he was fighting for freedom, for dominance. But he was, in fact, relentlessly enslaved by a desperate, unacknowledged need for validation. This wasn't a conscious choice, it was an undercurrent, a hidden stream flowing beneath the river of his ambition. Most men don't realize the pursuit of power is actually a silent prison, keeping them blind to the true motives behind their most fervent desires. The flickering streetlights outside your window, the way your heartbeat subtly quickens when an opportunity presents itself, the whispered words you tell yourself in moments of doubt, these are not random occurrences. They are the subtle sensory cues, the internal echoes of this deeper psychological truth at play. You feel it in the pit of your stomach when a threat looms or a rival makes a move. You feel it in the quiet hum of dissatisfaction even after a major triumph. That unease, that nagging sense of something missing, something unresolved, is the manifestation of these hidden desires. It's the symbolic motif of a locked door within your own psyche, behind which lie the true drivers of your actions. You are constantly seeking to unlock it, to fill that void, often through means that only deepen the mystery. This isn't about being weak, it's about being human, about being susceptible to patterns ingrained not just by society, but by something far more ancient. Welcome. Tonight, we expose the hidden corners of desire, underlying motives, and inner battles. If you've ever felt an inexplicable urge, a profound unease, stay, this is for you. Like this video, subscribe if you're ready to unveil the illusions that control you. Take a slow breath, let's go deeper. But that's only the surface, the real danger hides deeper. The mirror, that everyday object, often reflects only what you want to see. You look at your reflection, and you see the man who goes to work, the man who provides, the man who stands strong. But what if that reflection is a carefully constructed facade? What if the strength you project, the freedom you feel in making your own choices, is actually a subtle cage? Most men don't realize the illusion of choice is actually a meticulously crafted illusion, keeping them blind to the invisible forces that truly steer their lives. It's a truth that feels unsettling, almost insulting, because it suggests a lack of autonomy you've always taken for granted. Consider the narrative of success drilled into us from childhood. Go to school, get a good job, climb the ladder, acquire status, find a partner, build a family. It feels like a roadmap to personal fulfillment, a clear path to self-determination. But what if this very path, this seemingly open road of choices is designed to channel your energies into predefined desires. The desire for financial security, for social acceptance, for conventional love, these are presented as natural, universal aspirations. Yet, beneath their surface, they often serve to reinforce a system, to keep you striving for things that, in the end, might not be your own deepest yearnings, but rather echoes of collective expectations. What feels like freedom is actually a meticulously crafted illusion designed to keep you chasing shadows. Think of it like this: you walk into a maze, believing you have infinite paths to choose from. But every turn, every dead end, every carefully placed barrier guides you towards a predetermined exit. You feel like you're making decisions, navigating the twists and turns, when in reality, the architects of the maze already know exactly where you'll end up. This is the subtle mechanism of control, not through overt force, but through the shaping of desire itself. The flickering lights in a casino, the perfectly curated social media feed, the promise of the good life plastered on billboards, these aren't just advertisements. They are subtle manipulations, tapping into your inherent yearning for connection, for belonging, for significance, and directing them towards externally defined goals. The psychological trigger here is the hidden conflict between what you believe you want and what you are subtly conditioned to desire. It's the shame of admitting that your ambitions might not be entirely your own, or that your deepest convictions could be external imprints. This creates an inner tension, a low thrumming anxiety that most men simply try to outrun with more activity, more striving. The mirror becomes a symbol, reflecting back a constructed identity, while the true self, the one unburdened by societal programming, remains hidden behind a locked door you rarely even notice exists. Tonight, as you move through your routine, observe the subtle cues, the way you instinctively reach for your phone, the familiar comfort of a well-worn habit, the unconscious validation you seek from others. These aren't just choices, they are reflections of patterns, deep-seated and often unexamined. The unsettling aftermath emotion is the dawning realization that perhaps, just perhaps, the strings are more numerous and more subtle than you ever imagined, but that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. They never told you your greatest strengths are the hidden chains binding you. This isn't a paradox, it's a profound truth most men refuse to confront. Think about the qualities you pride yourself on: your resilience, your ambition, your ability to provide, your stoicism. These are indeed powerful attributes, lauded by society, essential for navigating the complexities of modern life. But what if these very strengths, when unchecked or misunderstood, become the subtle instruments of your own limitation? What if the relentless pursuit of one's best self inadvertently creates a subtle cage, restricting true growth and genuine connection? Consider a man who prides himself on his unwavering self-reliance. He faces every challenge alone, never asks for help, and sees vulnerability as a weakness. This seems like a strength, right? The ultimate picture of male independence. Yet, this very strength can become his deepest prison. It prevents him from forging authentic bonds, from experiencing the profound intimacy that comes from shared struggle, from admitting a moment of fear or uncertainty. The pressure to always be strong, to always be the pillar, can isolate him, leading to a quiet, gnawing loneliness. The very thing that makes him feel powerful, his self-reliance, is simultaneously cutting him off from the deepest forms of human connection, which are born from mutual reliance. The shadow of this unacknowledged need for connection grows longer with every act of solitary strength. Or take the man obsessed with control. He meticulously plans every detail, micromanages every project, attempts to orchestrate every outcome. His strength lies in his foresight, his organizational prowess. Yet, this very desire for control can blind him to unexpected opportunities, stifle the creativity of those around him, and ultimately lead to a pervasive anxiety about the things he can't control. What feels like freedom from chaos is actually a constant battle against the inherent unpredictability of life, a battle he is destined to lose. The more he grasps, the more elusive genuine peace becomes. The symbolic motif here is a locked door that opens not outward to freedom, but inward to a self-imposed cell, built from the very bricks of his supposed strengths. The psychological trigger here is the inner conflict that arises when our valued traits, our sources of pride, begin to yield diminishing returns, or worse, cause unforeseen suffering. It's the moment of uneasy acceptance when you realize the very armor you've built to protect yourself is also preventing you from truly living. You feel a rising tension, a subtle dissonance between who you think you are and the quiet truth whispering from within. It's an unsettling awareness, a dawning dread, as you begin to connect the dots between your celebrated virtues and your unspoken dissatisfactions. The aftermath emotion is a quiet clarity, laced with a touch of profound sadness for the paths not taken, the connections not made, all in the name of a strength that proved to be a subtle, binding chain. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. What feels like freedom is actually a profound deception designed to keep you chasing shadows. This isn't about external dictatorships or overt oppression. This is about a more insidious form of control, woven into the very fabric of your desires, making you an unwitting participant in your own limitation. You believe you're pursuing liberation from financial stress, from social judgment, from personal inadequacy, but in that relentless pursuit, you often simply trade one set of invisible chains for another. Consider the pervasive modern ideal of self-improvement, the relentless drive to optimize every aspect of your life, your body, your mind, your career, your relationships. You wake up early, you meditate, you hit the gym, you network tirelessly, you consume endless information, all in the name of becoming a better version of yourself. This feels empowering, doesn't it? It feels like taking control, asserting your will over your circumstances, yet, for many, this pursuit becomes a relentless treadmill, a chase without an end. The moment you achieve one goal, another, seemingly more important, materializes. The shadow of inadequacy never quite dissipates, only shifts its form. You are constantly striving for a future self that remains perpetually out of reach, always just beyond the next certification, the next promotion, the next perfect relationship. This isn't to say self-improvement is inherently bad. The danger lies in when it transforms from genuine growth into an endless cycle of chasing external validations, driven by a deep-seated fear of simply being who you are right now. It becomes a subtle form of manipulation, where the very act of striving for more it keeps you from ever truly being present, from ever truly feeling enough. The core psychological trigger here is the shame of perceived imperfection, the constant comparison that whispers, "You're not quite there yet." This fuels a forbidden desire for a flawless self, an ideal that can never be fully embodied, yet demands perpetual pursuit. The visual tone here is a man in a dimly lit room, surrounded by motivational books and half-finished projects, the faint glow of his phone reflecting in his eyes as he scrolls through images of perfect lives. He believes he's charting his own course, yet his gaze is fixed on a horizon others have defined for him. The symbolic motif is a forbidden flame that, while promising warmth and illumination, subtly burns away the present moment, leaving only the ash of unfulfilled longing for a future that never fully arrives. This creates a rising tension, a quiet hum of dissatisfaction that most men attribute to their own shortcomings rather than to the design of the game itself. The aftermath emotion is a chilling dread, as the realization dawns that perhaps the finish line doesn't exist, and the freedom you've been chasing was just another cleverly disguised form of control. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. Every man thinks he's in control until he learns this about his deepest desires. This isn't about fleeting urges, but the profound, often unsettling currents beneath the surface of your conscious mind. These are the desires so primal, so interwoven with your very being, that to acknowledge them feels like a surrender, a loss of the rational self you've carefully cultivated. The irony is, the harder you fight them, the more profoundly they exert their influence. The desire you fight hardest is the one that owns you. Consider the common masculine aversion to vulnerability, to admitting fear or needing help. This isn't just a cultural norm, it stems from a deep, almost instinctual desire to be seen as invulnerable, as dominant. A man might outwardly dismiss emotional displays as weakness, scoff at the idea of seeking therapy, or refuse to share his true anxieties with even his closest confidantes. He believes he's choosing strength, choosing self-reliance. But what if this staunch refusal is actually a manifestation of a powerful, unacknowledged desire to avoid shame, to avoid the perceived humiliation of being less than a? This desire for unblemished strength becomes a cage, trapping him in a performance, preventing him from experiencing genuine connection and the quiet power that comes from embracing one's full humanity. He's controlled by the very thing he seeks to avoid, the shadow of perceived weakness. This internal conflict creates a palpable tension. You feel it in the tightening of your jaw when you're told to man up, or the quiet dread that washes over you when you face a challenge you're not sure you can conquer alone. The flickering light in the corner of your mind is the tiny, inconvenient spark of truth, illuminating the gap between the man you present to the world and the raw, vulnerable being beneath. The psychological trigger here is the shame uncovered, the deep-seated societal programming that equates certain desires or emotions with emasculation. The forbidden desire to simply be imperfect, to be flawed, becomes the very thing you suppress, yet it continues to subtly manipulate your choices. The real-world connection is everywhere, in the way men compete for status, not always for tangible gain, but for the intangible validation that proves their dominance. In the subtle power games played in relationships, where control over emotions is often mistaken for strength. The symbolic motif is a shadow that follows you, mirroring your deepest, most unacknowledged desires. It's not evil, it simply is. The aftermath emotion is a dark realization, the uncomfortable truth that the control you thought you wielded was merely an elaborate dance choreographed by the very impulses you refused to name. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. They never told you. The very comfort you seek is the subtle cage binding you. This isn't about denying yourself pleasure or striving for an ascetic life. It's about recognizing how comfort, when pursued blindly, can become a powerful anesthetic, dulling your senses to deeper truths and preventing genuine growth. The illusion is that comfort equals security, when often it simply means complacency. Think about the routines you've built, the habits you cling to, the same coffee shop, the same brand of clothes, the same types of entertainment, the familiar faces. These provide a profound sense of ease, a predictable rhythm that minimizes friction and uncertainty, and for a time, that feels like a blessing. It feels like control over your environment, a haven from chaos. But this very comfort can lull you into a state of unconscious stagnation. It can prevent you from exploring new ideas, from challenging your own assumptions, from confronting uncomfortable truths that lie just beyond the familiar. What feels like freedom from discomfort is actually a silent master, designed to keep you trapped in a loop. Consider a man who has achieved a certain level of success. He has his routine, his comfort zone established. He avoids risks, prefers known outcomes, and dismisses anything that threatens his equilibrium as unnecessary drama. His life seems stable, enviable even, yet, beneath the surface, a quiet sense of something missing begins to fester. He might feel a dull ache of unfulfilled potential, a fleeting thought of, is this all there is? This isn't a problem he can solve with more money or more possessions. It's the subtle consequence of being bound by the very comfort he sought, a cage built from golden bars of predictability. The psychological trigger here is the inner conflict between the inherent human drive for growth and exploration and the powerful, almost gravitational pull towards safety and ease. The sensation is subtle, a creeping boredom, a feeling of being stuck despite outward success, a pervasive lack of genuine excitement. The heartbeat that once raced with anticipation now beats with a steady, almost monotonous rhythm. The real-world connection is evident in relationships that grow stale because neither partner dares to rock the boat, in careers that become dead ends because the comfort of a steady paycheck outweighs the desire for passion. The symbolic motif is a mirror reflecting a comfortable, yet ultimately static existence, where the reflection itself becomes the limit. The aftermath emotion is a dark realization, a dawning understanding that the very pursuit of ease has paradoxically led to an uneasy acceptance of a life less lived, a quiet betrayal of one's own deeper capacities. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. Most men don't realize the pursuit of power is actually a silent prison keeping them blind. Power, in its rawest form, feels like the ultimate liberation. It promises control, influence, the ability to shape your world according to your will. But what if the very act of chasing power, of accumulating it, binds you to an invisible set of rules, demands, and anxieties that strip away true freedom? Consider the man who climbs to the top of the corporate ladder. He gains immense influence, commands respect, and wields significant authority. From the outside, he embodies success and control. Yet, from his vantage point, the view is often a relentless battle. Every decision carries monumental weight. Every competitor is a potential threat. Every moment of relaxation feels like a vulnerability. He becomes enslaved by the very apparatus he built. The constant need to maintain his position, to expand his influence, to defend against rivals, consumes his life. His choices are no longer truly his own. They are dictated by the demands of his position, by the expectations of his peers, by the silent, ever-present fear of losing what he has painstakingly acquired. This relentless striving for more power paradoxically diminishes his personal agency. The psychological trigger here is the inner conflict between the initial intoxicating rush of dominance and the subsequent gnawing anxiety of maintaining it. It's the shame of admitting that the crown you fought so hard for feels more like a heavy burden, a golden cage. This creates a rising tension, a constant, low-level stress that most men in positions of power simply learn to normalize. They mistake this tension for the natural cost of doing business rather than the silent toll of their own imprisonment. The real-world connection is everywhere you look, in the political arena, where leaders become slaves to public opinion and party lines, in relationships, where one partner's need for control suffocates the other, and ultimately, themselves. The symbolic motif is a locked door, not one keeping others out, but one keeping you in, sealed by the very ambition that propelled you forward. The flickering lights of ambition often blind you to the quiet desperation taking root within. The aftermath emotion is a chilling dread, as the realization dawns that the more power you accumulate, the less truly free you might become, trading authentic selfhood for an image of invincibility. It's an uneasy acceptance of a gilded cage. But that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. Every man thinks he's in control until he learns this about his own shadow. The shadow isn't some sinister external entity. It's the unacknowledged part of yourself, the urges, desires, and aspects of your personality that society, or even you, deemed unacceptable and pushed into the dark corners of your psyche. It simply operates from a deeper, often more insidious level, subtly manipulating your choices and reactions. Consider the man who prides himself on his civility, his calm demeanor, always rational, never expressing anger or aggression. He views these emotions as primitive. Beneath him, this controlled exterior is his perceived strength. Yet, this very suppression can lead to passive-aggressive behaviors, sudden inexplicable outbursts of rage, or a chronic sense of frustration that he can't pinpoint. The unacknowledged aggression, the shadow of his own fury, finds indirect ways to express itself, often sabotaging his relationships or internal peace. He believes he's in control of his temper, but in reality, his temper, the shadow of it, is controlling him. It's the desire manipulating choices, compelling him to act out in ways he can't consciously explain. The psychological trigger here is the shame associated with these undesirable traits. We are taught from a young age to be good, and to be acceptable, and to conform. Anything that deviates from this ideal is pushed away into the shadow. This creates an inner conflict, a profound unease, as you unconsciously negotiate with this hidden part of yourself. You try to keep it locked away, but its presence is undeniable, like a persistent hum beneath the surface of your awareness. The flickering lights in your mind are the moments of self-sabotage, the inexplicable urges, the reactions that feel alien to your conscious self, all signals from the suppressed shadow. The real-world connection is vast, from the seemingly good man who secretly cheats, to the outwardly humble individual who harbors deep resentment. The more you deny a part of yourself, the more powerful it becomes in its subterranean influence. The symbolic motif is a mirror reflecting back not just your conscious self, but also the distorted, obscured image of your shadow self, waiting to be acknowledged. The aftermath emotion is a dark realization, a profound shift as you begin to see that the perceived freedom of denying your shadow was, in fact, a deeply unsettling form of self-imprisonment. It's a quiet dread, tinged with curiosity, as you consider what else lies hidden within, but that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. They never told you. The freedom you crave is the masterful illusion binding you. This isn't a conspiracy, but a deep psychological trap where your very yearning for liberation becomes the mechanism of your confinement. You chase freedom from work, from obligations, from personal insecurities, believing that once you shed these burdens, true autonomy awaits. Yet, the chase itself often leaves you perpetually enslaved to an idealized future that never quite arrives. Consider the man consumed by the desire for ultimate financial freedom. He works tirelessly, sacrifices relationships, neglects his health, all for the promise of a day when he can finally stop. When money will no longer dictate his choices, he believes this future state will unlock true freedom. But in his relentless pursuit, he becomes a slave to the market, to his investments, to the constant need for more. His life becomes defined by numbers on a screen, and the fear of losing what he's gained overtakes the joy of having it. He's chasing a horizon that recedes with every step, forever seeking more, perpetually unfree. The psychological trigger here is the inner conflict born from the endless pursuit of an external freedom that only deepens internal captivity. The sensation is a subtle, gnawing impatience, a feeling that your current life is merely a precursor to a better, freer one. You feel a constant urge to optimize, to rush through the present in service of that elusive future. The flickering lights of your ambition blind you to the richness of the now, to the genuine freedom that might be found in acceptance, not acquisition. This is the quiet tyranny of aspiration. The desire manipulating choices, compelling you to forego present peace for a future promise. The real-world connection is vast, the pursuit of the perfect body through extreme diets and training, only to find oneself constantly battling urges and self-criticism. The endless quest for the ideal partner, leaving a trail of unappreciated relationships. In each case, the relentless striving for an imagined freedom creates a new form of servitude. The symbolic motif is a forbidden flame, enticing you forward with its warmth, but burning away your connection to the present reality. The aftermath emotion is a dark realization, the chilling dread that the finish line you've been sprinting towards might be nothing more than an illusion, and the freedom you craved was a masterful deception that kept you running. It's an uneasy acceptance of this profound paradox, but that's only the surface. The real danger hides deeper. What feels like freedom is actually a meticulously crafted illusion designed to keep you forever seeking more. This is the ultimate, unsettling truth. The human condition is often defined by a perpetual yearning, an insatiable desire for completion, for a state of absolute contentment that always seems just beyond reach. But what if this very yearning, this innate drive to seek and acquire, is the most profound and subtle leash, keeping you bound to a cycle of perpetual wanting? Consider the modern narrative of happiness. It's often presented as a destination, a state achieved through accumulating certain experiences, possessions, or relationships. You work towards that dream job, that perfect partner, that ideal lifestyle. And when you attain it, there's a fleeting moment of satisfaction, a brief pause, but then, almost immediately, the mind shifts, the gaze fixes on the next thing, the next level, the next iteration of more. This isn't a flaw in you, it's a fundamental aspect of human psychology that, left unexamined, becomes a powerful, invisible master. The very pursuit of more becomes its own prison, preventing you from truly dwelling in and appreciating enough. This perpetual seeking becomes a profound deception. The psychological trigger here is the innate human desire for meaning and fulfillment, twisted into an endless chase. It's the shame of feeling incomplete, of recognizing that even after achieving what you thought you wanted, the void remains. This creates a relentless, subtle tension, a constant undercurrent of dissatisfaction even amidst success. The desire manipulating choices, compelling you to believe that the next acquisition, the next achievement, will finally deliver the lasting satisfaction you crave. The real-world connection is undeniable, the endless upgrade cycle of technology, the constant pursuit of novelty in entertainment, the fleeting nature of consumer trends. We are conditioned to believe that newness, moreness, will finally bring a sense of arrival. The symbolic motif is a forbidden flame that, while offering warmth and comfort, continually pulls you forward, always just out of reach, burning away your capacity for stillness. The aftermath emotion is a quiet clarity, tinged with an uneasy acceptance, the profound realization that the freedom you've always envisioned, the ultimate satisfaction you've chased, was merely a mirage, perpetually tempting you onward while binding you to a cycle of endless seeking. Tonight, when you face your reflection, you'll see the part of you they told you to kill, but it never left. Tonight, we've walked through the silent corridors of desire, peeling back the layers of illusion that often define a man's journey. We've seen how the very strengths you cultivate can become invisible chains, how the comfort you crave can cage you, and how the pursuit of freedom itself can be a masterful deception. This isn't about condemnation, but about quiet clarity. It's about recognizing the subtle currents beneath the surface, the unspoken truths that shape your every step. The wisdom lies not in fighting these hidden desires, nor in denying the shadows that trail you. True liberation begins with a simple, unsettling acceptance. It begins with looking into that mirror, not just to see the man you present to the world, but to acknowledge the parts you've pushed away, the vulnerabilities you've hidden, the primal hungers you've fought. Because the desires you fight hardest are the ones that own you, and the only way to reclaim control is to understand them, to integrate them, to see them not as weaknesses, but as profound forces waiting to be understood and mastered. Tonight, when you face your reflection, you'll see the part of you they told you to kill, but it never left. It's time to stop running from it, to stop chasing illusions. It's time to truly see. If this journey into the hidden psychology of desire resonated with you, if you felt that unsettling flicker of truth within, then share this video. Let it be a catalyst for other men who are ready to look beyond the surface, to uncover the hidden strings, and to finally understand the forces that truly move them. Subscribe to ATAP for more journeys into the depths of forbidden wisdom and untold truths.